I'm a dude, and I'm inviting you to join me on a podcast about brews.
Does that include stouts?
Yes, of course it includes stouts. Like I was saying, join us every Saturday on the journey into...
Wait a minute. Do you guys do anything about like IPAs?
Yes,
Stuff like that?
yes, we do IPAs.
Okay.
Yes. Anyway, join us on the Journey into Comics Network for Brews with Dudes.
Whoa, hey, have you guys do you care if I bring some Zima on?
Yes, I care if you bring Zima. Zima doesn't count. Zima's Dr. Dongo. Anyway, join us every Saturday for a podcast that delves into the craft brew world.
The following
Journey into Comics.
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 Journey into Comics
Network. Production.
Hello and welcome to episode 12 of the Kids for Sale podcast. I am your host, and with me tonight is, drumroll please, nobody. It's an empty chair. It's just me tonight. I'm flying solo again. I believe this is the third episode that I've done by myself out of 12. I'm not off to a good start, but I had a guest lined up for tonight. But she has two kids, and both of them are sick right now, so kind of makes things difficult to try to get out of the house when your kids are sick. Especially her husband is working midnights tonight, so she wasn't gonna be able to get away. Which I guess that's a testament to another thing that just it's rough when you have kids, because you can make plans and make plans and make plans. You could have your whole month planned out with a nice, prioritized schedule of what you want to get done and what you want to do. And, one kid gets sick and it throws a wrench in the whole thing. Or, it doesn't even have to be getting sick. It could be anything, The coach, another one that's been switching us up. It's been throwing us off a lot lately. Is the boys are still playing football. I'll get to that in a little bit, but yeah, Mark's team is still playing football, and the coaches never expected them to get this far into the season. I shouldn't say they didn't expect it, because they've been good all season. But when you plan for the beginning of the season, you don't plan on going all the way through the playoffs and playing in the championship game or anything. So they didn't plan this far ahead. And they've had to alter their practice schedule a couple times in the last few weeks. And Mark was very close to having to miss a practice this week, and they would have sat him for the championship game. So, plans had to be changed and things had to be rearranged, and that's just the way it goes all the time when you have kids. So that's why I'm doing this episode myself tonight. I guess I don't want to reveal who my next guest is going to be. But like I said, she was unable to come because she has two young children and they are both sick. One of them is an infant, and it's never good when the infants get sick. So you take the time, stay home with them, do whatever you need to do, get them healthy. And that's the thing too that sucks about having multiple kids in the house. Once one of them gets sick, they're just going to keep passing it around the whole season long. I can't tell you, the girls are only 4 years old, but I think we've spent all 4 winters of, the girls passing cooties around for the whole, for 3 months, and we just can't get rid of it. And when the kids are actually healthy, then either me or Ashley will get it, and then, we'll hang on to it for a while, and then we'll pass it back to the kids, and then we'll just start the cycle all over again. And it sucks. It sucks every winter. Make sure the kids get plenty of vitamin C, and you know what? Include yourself in that too. Take plenty of vitamin C, or whatever. The airborne. I don't know if that stuff actually works. And it was invented by a kindergarten teacher or whatever, and she's not a doctor, so what would she? Whatever it is. If it works for you, use it. The placebo effect is still a real thing. It happens. It works. and don't be a dick and convince people it doesn't work, because if it's working for them, let it work for them. If you're one of those people that has to go out there and debunk everything, oh, this doesn't really work, it's just psychological. Who cares if it's psychological? If it works for them, let it work for them. Don't be a dick. I'm going to really drive that point home. Don't be a dick. Yeah, so I'm off to a good start already, I guess. I guess the first thing, I made a short list of things to talk about so I could keep myself on track tonight. So the first thing I wanted to mention is, in case anybody was wondering, the Kids for Sale podcast, which you can find on Facebook at Kids for Sale Pod and all social media networks, but I don't keep up with anything else. I've barely been keeping up with Facebook lately. I don't know what my problem is. I keep trying to post more and more pictures. Ooh, that popped really hard. Sorry about that. Keep trying to post pictures like of stuff we've talked about in the show, and then as soon as I go to look for them, I can't find the damn pictures. So I've been having a hard time keeping those albums up, and I apologize for that. But if you're even interested in looking at any of those pictures, I will update the albums as I find pictures. So, we'll get there. I'm still fine tuning this whole process. I'm still kind of new to this whole podcasting thing. So, we'll get there. We'll get there. But yes, as I was saying, the Kids for Sale Facebook page is a podcast page. It is not a for sale site. I had somebody that found Kids for Sale on Facebook. They joined, following my Facebook page, and then like an hour, I thought I had a new fan, which I should have, I should have known better. But like an hour later, they were posting Legos for sale on the page. So I guess in all actuality, it wasn't going to hurt anything to for me to let them sell their Legos on the page, but I took it down anyway, because it sends the wrong message, and I don't abuse the site, please. It's there for entertainment, not for selling your crap. But that was the first thing I wanted to mention. Yes, I am a podcast. I am not a for sale site. I am not one of those garage sale sites. I am not any other thing. I am a podcast. So, the next thing, let's get back to football for a second, just because I've been talking about football a lot. I know. I hope nobody's getting too tired of hearing about it, but I like to brag about it. It's been great. I've been really proud of Mark and his team, and they've been doing great things. So I can't talk about it enough. Personally, I love talking about it, and nobody else wants to listen. So, tough shit. You're stuck listening to me talk about it. Mark had his semifinals this last weekend against an undefeated team in the area. And Mark, by the way, his team, I know I've mentioned this, they only lost one game in the regular season, and they've just been plowing through the playoffs. They've been winning every game by, 20-plus points. They faced their hardest team yet, which was Griffith, undefeated, and just blew them away. And actually, the game would have been even more of a blowout, except the goddamn referees at this game were the worst. Which, I mean, I know every parent is like, well, every football parent, which I guess that's what I am now. They're always going to come, oh, the refs suck, blah, blah. But no, this was legitimately incredibly one-sided. Like, they were calling penalties that they haven't been calling all season long, which half the kids on the field didn't even know what these penalties were, which I don't understand. The playoffs are tougher. They got to call tougher. But, if that's the way it's going to work, call it on both teams, not just on the one team that's clearly dominating, which I don't know how true this is, but supposedly during the game, they had one of the refs. So our coach almost got kicked out of the game because he was complaining to the refs that they were calling really one-sided, and they got a penalty thrown on the coach and blah, 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 blah. And the referee went and talked to the coach, and one of the parents told me at practice the other day that when he went and talked to the coach, he flat out told the coach that, they have to call more penalties on our team because they're trying to keep the game from being one-sided, and they're trying to make it more of a more of a challenge or whatever, which that's not what playoff football is for. That's what maybe 4 and 5 year olds that everyone gets a trophy thing is for. But these kids are actually learning about competition, and they're learning about what it means to be the best, and this is not the time for penalizing one team for being better and letting the other team off the hook because they're having a tough time. That's not the time for it. And I was very upset about it. And yes, I was one of those dads in the stands yelling and screaming at the refs. And Ashley was embarrassed, and she kept yelling at me about yelling at the refs. And, you yelling at them is not going to make anything better. She's going to be mad that I used that voice. But you know what? Whatever. It's true. It was infuriating. They were calling offsides every chance they could against us, which a couple of them were legit. I won't be mad about that. But then when it was the other team doing it right in front of their faces, suddenly they just had their blinders on. There was a play when our running back was going down the sidelines, and a kid jumped on him from behind, dragged him down to his knees. Mind you, I said on his knees, and the kid wrestled with him for a couple, maybe 5 seconds or so, and then stripped the ball out of his hands after his knees were already got down for 5 seconds, and they called it a fumble recovered by the other team. And everybody lost it. I spilled my coffee all over the place. It was awful. It was a shit show. But we still won 27-6. I keep doing that. We did not win anything. The boys won 27-6. So this weekend we are going on to the finals. They call it the state championship, but it's really just the Northwest Indiana region of Pop Warner, which is really cool. They've dominated the league, and they're hopefully going to win this weekend. It's kind of a grudge match now because it's the team that beat them in the regular season. But I think it's a winnable game because I don't think the boys played their best football the day they lost to this team. And the team that they just beat the crap out of last weekend was the only team to beat this team in the regular season. So if we beat them, it's just kind of, like I said, we're getting our payback, I guess, for them beating us in the regular season. And I'm excited for that. And then if they win this game, they will move on to the regional playoffs, which we just found out about a couple weeks ago. So this football season is just seemingly never ending, which is exciting and not at the same time, because it is very time consuming. There's a lot of practices. There's a lot of, drive. Like this Saturday, we have to get up at 6:30 just to make it to the game in time, which is not exactly what we want to do on our day off, but we're not going to miss the game either. I don't know. It's just rough. We're ready for the season to be over, but at the same time, he's enjoying it. The boys are enjoying it, and I want it for their sake. I'd like to see it keep going, but man, it's just I'm over it. And then meanwhile, here's the kicker. Next week he starts basketball, and then a week or two after that he starts wrestling. So it's just we will never get out of this loop of practice, game. It's never ending. So luckily the girls are taking a break right now, so we only have to worry about one kid's practices. But yeah, it's tiring. It's tiring being a parent because you literally have time for nothing else except for getting them to their stuff. Let's see. I covered football with the terrible referees, which I part of me wants to look into filing a formal complaint against these referees because I feel like it was very unfair what they were doing. But I don't know. I also don't want to be that dad, but here I am complaining. Is this considered a public forum? this podcast I'm putting out, I guess, is a public forum, right? Anybody has access to it. So, yeah, here I am complaining about these refs in this forum, and I guess I am that dad now. I'm that dad. I'm realizing it just now on the air. You're hearing it. I'm that dad now. But all right, I'm boring you enough with this football shit, so let's move on to the next thing. Monday night. Well, I should tell you, I'm recording this the day after Halloween. It is November 1st, as of this recording. So, we've had a busy week with Halloween stuffs. Monday evening, we went to, I know we talked about it in the last episode, we went to the nursing home. Brought the girls, just the girls, because Mark had football practice, but we got Livy and Scarlett and got them in costume and took them to the nursing home to trick or treat, and it was really nice. It's a really nice thing that they do, and I would encourage anybody and everybody listening to this to keep that in mind for next year. I know it's a little late now, but keep that in mind for next year. Is to look into your local nursing homes, give them a call or find them on Facebook or whatever, and see when they're doing trick or treating. Because I can tell you I saw it in person. How much the residents at the nursing home really appreciated having, a bunch of they're of course their family, their grandkids and such were coming by trick or treating, and it was exciting for them to see their grandkids in costumes. But it was also, a lot of them were they lit up when the kids came through, and it was very sweet to see. And it's a nice thing for the kids, because the kids get a bunch of candy, and it couldn't be easier. They're inside in a warm building, and they're literally just walking down a line of residents that are all sitting waiting for them with a bucket of candy, and they just go from person to person, say trick or treat, and they get a couple pieces of candy. They don't have to go from door to door. They don't have to go outside. They don't have to go in the rain and the cold or anything. The warm building. And then on top of that, it was free to get in. And then when they were done trick-or-treating, they go up and get a hot dog and chips and, a glass of lemonade. And it was really nice. At least the one we went to, they served food after the trick-or-treating was over. So, I don't know. It was really nice, and I really encourage you to look into it for next year, because it's great for the residents, it's great for the kids. So, let's see. Then Tuesday. Oh yeah, Tuesday. I tried to take the kids to the pumpkin patch, which that was a mistake, because we're broke right now, and I didn't have pumpkin patch money apparently. So we went to go pick out pumpkins, and I'm like looking at the weight of the pumpkins and how much they're charging per pound, and I was like, ooh, this is not going to be good. So instead we walked away with these little baby pumpkins that were like $3 for $1 or something, and came home, and the kids colored on them with markers. It wasn't quite the same as carving a jack-o'-lantern, but man, it was going to cost me like $50 out the door just to get a handful of pumpkins, and yeah, not the day before Halloween. I'm not doing that. So, but yeah, pumpkin patches are expensive. I guess the pumpkin patches are great because they offer more than just pumpkins. There's the hay ride, and the ones we have near us, there's, one of them has a bunch of like carnival style rides. The other one has like a big giant slide you can go down, and there's pumpkin slingshots, and where you get to launch the pumpkin. I don't know. It's neat. It's a good time for the kids. Be ready to spend, for a family of 5. If we were to go on a Saturday and spend like the afternoon there, I bet we could easily drop $100, if not more. I don't remember. I don't know how much the rides cost, but then factor in, buying the pumpkins, and, they sell the donuts and popcorn and all that crap. And, it's just the same as going to a county fair, but you're going home with a pumpkin. So just be ready to spend county fair style money, if you plan on taking your kids to a pumpkin patch. Whereas I heard, Aldi was selling pumpkins for like $5 or something. Something crazy cheap. Strax is if anybody's listening to this from outside of the Northwest Indiana area, Strax is a chain of grocery stores in our area. And they were selling pumpkins like 4 for $20. So check your grocery stores. Don't get sucked into thinking that the pumpkin patch is the only place you're going to find good pumpkins, because the grocery stores have them too, much cheaper than the pumpkin patches do. And I'm not trying to put pumpkin patches out of business by driving business away from them. They're making plenty of money over the Halloween season, though, plenty. So they can afford to have people buying pumpkins at the grocery stores. It's not going to kill their business. But yeah, if you're on a tight budget, shop around for your pumpkins, because I guarantee you can find them cheaper than pumpkin patch prices. That being said, though, like I said, the pumpkin patches are really nice. It's a nice way to spend an afternoon. Like if you have a 60-degree day or 50-degree day, hoodie weather, it's a good place to take your family for a nice fall outing for a Saturday afternoon. But yeah, maybe next year. Then that night, it's been a busy week with Halloween stuff. That night we went to our local high school, had an event called Track or Treat, where you pay $5 to get a wristband for your kid. And then it's kind of the same deal as the nursing home, except for not in a nursing home. It's like all the clubs in the school, and I think local businesses can get in on it. And they line up, each business or club has a station, and the kids just walk by station to station and say trick or treat, and they hand out candy. And after they got to the end of the line, then I don't even know, is it the gym? They had all kinds of games and stuff for the kids to play, and they had music playing, and it was a really nice time. For $5, I think it was worth every penny. Scarlett came home with a big bag of candy, and she got to play a bunch of games, and she had a good time with her friends, and it was nice. I don't know if a lot of the high schools offer something like that, but ours did, and we had a good time, so look into that too. I guess the point I'm trying to make with talking about this stuff is just that, trick-or-treating is not your only option for getting candy. There's all kinds of trunk or treats at the local churches, and they had a Halloween party at the library that we were going to take our kids to yesterday, but it's sold out before we could get there. I don't know, if you don't feel like walking around door to door on Halloween night, there's a lot of options for you to get candy. But I don't think personally that is a substitute for letting your kids trick or treat. We actually had to get in an argument with Ashley's friend. It wasn't really in an argument, but we had to talk her out of taking her kids to the mall. She was going to take her kids to the mall to trick or treat, and just because, well, I don't know why she was going to do it, but we had to talk her out of it, because it's like, it's not the same as going door to door. Nothing replaces ringing the doorbell, having a stranger open the door, and saying trick or treat. That's the fun. That's what's fun about Halloween for kids. At least that's what I remember being the fun part of Halloween. It wasn't the candy. I mean, the candy's great, but you get candy all year long. Trick or treating was what was fun about Halloween. And, seeing the houses decorated and walking around in your costume, and that's the fun of it. So don't be one of those parents that, I got to keep my kid off the street, and I got to keep my kid inside and warm and blah, 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 blah. Suck it up for a night. Put on some warm clothes and walk them down the street. I actually ended up walking Scarlett way farther than I wanted to this year, just because she was ready to keep going. And I said, what, screw it. It's one night a year. What's it going to hurt me to walk an extra half a mile? Which I kind of regret, because we got that far away and then we were only halfway back. Which we trick or treat at my mom's house, so we were halfway back to my mom's when she finally just gave up, and I had to carry her on my shoulders the rest of the way home. But still, she got a bag full of candy and had a good time, and I had a good time watching her. It's fun. It's nice to see your kids enjoying themselves doing stuff like that. So going to the mall and going to the trunk or treats and stuff, it's not a replacement for the real thing. It's again, in my opinion. So get mad at me if you want, but I don't know. The point is, take your kids out for Halloween. Moving on. Oh, there was one house right down the street from my mom's that I really wish I would have gotten these people's names so I could give them a proper shout out. But they were standing out in front of their house. They had, construction decoration. I don't know, for Halloween, for whatever reason, their house was like a construction zone. So they had yellow signs and, caution tape up and stuff. And, but then out in front of their house, they had this stack of cardboard boxes, like cases, like cases of food. And inside the cases was the big, like so if you pass out candy for Halloween, you go to the store and you buy the bag of individually wrapped candies, the big bag of individually wrapped candies. They had cases of those big bags, and each trick-or-treater that came to their house, they gave a full bag, or like my niece went there and got 2 full bags of the small bags of candy. So I'm looking at, I have Scarlett's right here. She got the Sour Patch watermelons and the Sour Patch Kids, the variety pack. It is 40 of the trick-or-treat size bags inside the big bag. She got the entire bag of 40 bags of Sour Patch Kids from this one house. So I don't know what kind of money these people spent on candy, but I mean, damn, that's a nice thing to do, It's one thing. Like, I remember going to people's houses when I was a kid and getting a full-size candy bar was amazing. Or there was a house right down the street from us that we hit every year because they passed out cans of pop, and everybody, oh my God, they have cans of pop, or soda for anybody in another region. And that was amazing. But this is a full friggin' bag of small packs of candy. Like, who does that? I mean, that had to be hundreds of dollars worth of candy. And it's a nice thing to do. It's a really nice thing to do. And I really wish I could give them a proper shout out, but I don't know their names. I didn't get their names. So I apologize to you strangers in DeMott, Indiana, down the street from my mom's house, that gave out the full bags of candy. It was really nice. And you made a lot of kids happy last night. And while we're on that subject, of passing out candy, like I said, we went to my mom's house, so we were not home. And I'm not tooting my own horn here. This is something I think you should do if you're not going to be home. If you're taking your kid out trick or treating, put a bowl of candy out at your house. It's how much of a bummer is it when you're a kid and you walk up to a house and ring the doorbell on Halloween night and nobody answers the door. It's a bummer, Just and leaving a bowl of candy out is a simple, just kind of like, at least it's a gesture that you're trying to give people candy. And I know everybody's argument is always, oh, well, if you leave the bowl of candy out, the first kid's going to come by and just dump the whole bowl in his bucket, and then you won't have any candy left, so it didn't really matter. And I've done it several years, and that's not at all true. In fact, we did it last night, and we had a big tote full of candy, and Rice Krispie treats and brownies, basically just trying to get rid of shit that we had in our cabinet that our kids weren't going to eat. But that's part of what Halloween's for too, is just to get rid of your leftovers. But so we had a big tote full of treats and candies and stuff, and we came home from my mom's, and not even half of it was gone, And on top of it, like, we have one of those the video doorbells, and so we could see every trick-or-treater that came up to the house. And, none of them noticed the doorbell that I could watch them. But I kept checking throughout the night just to make sure nobody was ripping us off. And so every couple times that I would get the notification on my phone that somebody was at our door, I'd look at it and I'd watch, and they'd read this. We left a sign on the bucket saying, help yourself, but, be polite. So make sure there's candy for the rest of the trick-or-treaters, and every single kid that came up to the door took 1, maybe 2 pieces. There was one kid that helped himself to like 5 pieces, but there was plenty in the bucket. It wouldn't have hurt. If every kid that came to our door took a handful, we still would have had candy left over. But, just make the gesture. Put a bucket out. And we saw a lot of houses that did that last night. And I thought that was nice because in the last couple of years, there hasn't been that many. Most people, they take their out and they just don't participate. They want everybody to give their kid candy, but yet they won't make the gesture to give anybody else candy. And that's not fair. If you want your kid to have fun on Halloween, make sure other kids can have fun at your house too. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. But yeah, I am lecturing a lot tonight, and I apologize for that. I'm being judgy, but I just I don't know. Halloween's a great holiday, but it's no fun unless everybody's playing along. And if you're going to be a fuddy-duddy and not playing along... Did I use that term already? I feel like I said fuddy-duddy already. Maybe I did. I don't know. If you're not going to play along, it's not fun for anybody. And, you're kind of a jerk. I'm going to say it. You're a jerk. So, have fun. Be fun for Halloween. Pass out candy. It's not going to hurt you. Or leave a bucket of candy for kids to take from your porch, That's not hard either. And if you don't feel like coming to the door, leave the bucket outside still, and then just grab the bucket at the end of the night. And let's talk about trick-or-treating hours for a second. Well, I'm going to talk about trick-or-treating hours for a second. Why is it only 2 hours? What is it hurting? Like 5 to 7 last night was what we got in DeMott, which for a 4-year-old proved to be just enough, because we walked out the door at my mom's at like 5:15 or something, and we got back to her house at about 6:45, and Scarlett was done. She had enough. But you get slightly older kids that have more energy and they can walk a little bit further. What's it hurting to have them out till 8 o'clock and 8:30 or even 9 o'clock? I don't know what the trick-or-treating hours were like when I was a kid, but I seem to remember that a majority of the trick-or-treating time that I was out was like when it was dark outside. And I feel like they're doing their best to make sure that the trick-or-treating hours all end like just after dark. And that, to me, sucks the fun out of Halloween, because like we always used to decorate our house, and I might have talked about this in the last episode. We always used to decorate our house with like black lights and strobe lights and stuff, because we had all these spooky decorations up on the house. And a cool strobe light on a graveyard in the front lawn looks really cool and scary, and it's a cool effect for Halloween. But if the sun's still up, that damn strobe light's doing nothing, and it doesn't help at all. And like we had fog machine, and the fog with the black light looked really cool, and that's useless when the sun is still up. So I don't know. It's all this, like, I know they're trying to make it safer for kids. I get that, but like, how dangerous was it really? Like my whole time growing up, I'd never heard of one kid in town getting hurt on Halloween or getting run over or anything, or getting kidnapped, or I don't know. I'm sure it happens, but and it's awful. I'm not trying to justify it, but it's an awful thing. But you don't have to dumb it down for everybody because it happens to like 1% of people. It can't be perfect for everybody. And meanwhile, you're making it like the least enjoyable holiday possible. Suck all the fun out of it. I don't know. It's just a bummer to me. I don't know. What does everybody else think? Leave comments on this. I'd really like to hear what everyone thinks about Halloween and how it used to be when you were a kid compared to how it is now. And if you think it's better, you think it's worse, if you want it to be safer, if it's too safe, I would honestly, God, like to hear this. I'm not trying to start a debate or anything. We all are entitled to our own views. But I just, I don't know. I don't like the way it's going. And I'd like to see it back to the way it was when I was a kid. And you know what? Here's the thing too. maybe it's exactly the way it was when I was a kid, and I'm just remembering it different because you remember things different. You know? Nothing's exactly the way you remember it. So I don't know what it was like when I was a kid. Maybe it was always just 2 hours. Maybe it was always from 5 to 7. And I just choose to remember the tail end of it, but it just doesn't seem that way to me. You know, I remember most of it being dark. I remember carrying flashlights around. I remember for several years we used to like haunt my mom's yard. You know, we all dress up in costumes and scare the crap out of the kids that would come to the door. And that didn't work very well when it was still light out, but like it got way more fun as it got dark. And I feel like a majority of it was in the dark. So I don't know. What do you remember? Tell me about it. Leave a comment, email me, blah, 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 blah. I say it every week and nobody does, but God damn it, do it this time. Let's move on. Enough Halloween. Oh, no, it's not enough Halloween. I got one more thing to talk about Halloween-wise, and then we'll move on. I got to be one of the parents to help with Mark's Halloween party in his class at school. And it was really nice. I've never gotten to help with one of those parties. I did help with the field day last year at the end of the year, but that wasn't like specifically with Mark's class. It was like with the whole school. So I barely got to spend any time with him that day. But this time I got to be in his class for the whole party, and I don't know, it was a good time. The kids all got to decorate a trick-or-treating bag. They got to do a word search and color a haunted house, and they played a game in the hallway, and then there was cupcakes, and it's like 20 kids in the class, and I swear to God, like 4 or 5 of them were like, I don't eat cupcakes. What? And my kid included. My kid doesn't eat cupcakes, and it drives me nuts. What 8-year-old doesn't eat a damn cupcake? They look delicious. These cupcakes looked delicious, and you know, if I had a little less restraint, I probably would have been eating all of the ones that those kids didn't eat. But I showed some restraint, and I acted like a grown-up. And I didn't touch those cupcakes as much as I wanted to because they looked so good, and they went to waste. I'm sure, well, I don't know. I'm sure one of the parents brought them home and stuffed their face in the car on the way back. But I didn't get to be that parent. I didn't get any cupcakes. I'm sad about it. I didn't get any cupcakes. But I don't know. I had a good time, and Mark was really excited to see me when I don't know. I know I didn't tell him that I was coming to help out at the party, but I had imagined his mom had told him because his mom was there too. She was there was like 6 or 7 parents or something. I don't know. I didn't count. But I was one of them. She was one of them. And like we knew ahead of time that we were both going to be there, and it's you know, it is what it is. It's not a big deal. We get along when we need to, and it's fine. It was fine. It was fine having both of us there. But where was I going with this? Oh yeah. I know I didn't mention to Mark that I was helping out with his party, but I thought maybe like she would have told him, and maybe he did know. I don't know, but all I know is when I walked through the classroom door, like he jumped out of his seat and ran to the door and gave me a hug, like he had no idea I was going to be there, and he was really excited, and it was sweet. I got choked up a little bit when I walked in, and I didn't want to cry in front of the other parents, but I was close to it. But I didn't. I maintained my composure, and I was like, get back in your seat, listen to your teacher, being a tough guy dad. But yeah, it was really sweet, and I had a good time, and I am going to try to volunteer for all the parties that I can because it was fun, and I would encourage you to do the same because it's nice. And they always need volunteers, and let me say to the dads too. I feel like there's not enough dads that volunteer for this stuff because, like, when I was at the field day, for example, there was 10 moms for every dad that was there, and at the for the parties yesterday, all the parents had to check in and then like wait in the front entrance area of the school until they were ready to disperse us to the classrooms, and there was like 100 moms there and like 5 dads, And I get it, like, in a majority of homes, at least in our area. I know more and more nowadays, both parents are working, or, women are working, and there are stay-at-home dads. But, it's still, I know it's 2018 and things are changing, but, still, at least in our town, I know a majority of the dads are working, and if there is a stay-at-home parent, it's a lot of times the mom. But, save a vacation day to go, or a personal day or whatever you have, or just, see if you can get off of work, rotate your shift around, work a Saturday or something, because you'd have no idea, like, your kids remember that kind of stuff, and to the dads, like, it's just, it's hard for me, being a divorced parent, when, my ex gets to be so active with Mark's school and stuff, because she has him 12 days for every 14, he's only at my house every other weekend. Same with Livy. But I'm just saying for school functions, So she's the one that gets to interact with the teachers all the time. She's the one that gets to, majority of the time, if he gets taken to school, she gets to take him to school. I know he rides the bus a lot, but, he gets to ride home with her all the time. And I don't get that kind of stuff as often. And for the dads that have that available to them every day, and they don't take advantage of it, I don't understand that, I don't know. It's hard for me to see that, because a guy in my situation, how much I would love to have that opportunity like those dads do, and to see them waste it, it's, I don't know. It hurts. It hurts me personally. And I don't know. It's my way of looking at it. And, I'm getting a little too serious for what's usually a semi-funny podcast, but it's hard, It's hard to see somebody waste moments like that with their kid that they could have, and when meanwhile I don't get a lot of those moments, and I would give everything for those moments, and other people just don't take advantage of them, And I'm going to take a break here for a second so I don't get too choked up on this thing. I'll be back in a minute. I'm back. So, yeah, that was weird. I apologize for getting a little too real for a second. I know that's, not exactly what people are here to hear. Or maybe it is. Maybe it is. And, maybe every once in a while I should do a serious episode, because I know other parents have struggled through divorce or just custody issues and not getting to see their kids as much as they would like to. Not necessarily even just for divorce, maybe your work schedule just doesn't allow you to see your kids as much as you would like to. And it's hard. So, at risk of getting too serious again, I'm going to move on for this episode. But I would like to come back to this on another episode. So, I don't know if maybe I'll do a one-off of, a more serious look at things, just so we can have that conversation in a proper setting. But this was supposed to be a fun, upbeat episode, so I'm going to try to get back to that a little bit if I can recover. But anyway, let's move on. And I apologize also for overgeneralizing about dads not making an effort. I'm sure a lot of dads do make an effort, but sometimes the reality is you just can't. You can't be there. you can be there for everything else, but maybe you just can't get the day off to come to a class party. And I get that. I get that a lot. But it's also I think that wasn't the original point I was trying to make about dads helping at school functions. That really wasn't it. That's just where I ended up. But another thing that I don't like is that because there's so many dads that don't like to be active in that kind of stuff. Or again, not that they don't want to, they just they can't or they aren't, No matter what their reasons are and no matter what the situation is, the reality is there is just not a lot of dads there. And it sucks because then things just, it's like I'm a novelty at these parties now. I show up to these parties and like last year I was at the field day thing, and I can't tell you how irritating it was. People were, oh, the dad's here, huh? Oh, his dad's here. That's so nice that dad made an effort. It's like, I shouldn't be applauded for being active in my kid's life, And I feel like that that's the whole culture. It's not just about school events. It's the whole culture of, I take my kids out to the mall. It's just me and the kids. And this has happened a lot too. And this is not just the people making comments about, oh, you're a brave one. And, who says that shit? Who says that to moms walking around the mall? Who says that to moms walking around Target with 3 kids? It's condescending in a way. And me and Ashley have talked about this a lot. Because I do take offense to it a lot. I get that people, they're just trying to be nice and they're trying to, make me feel like a good dad. But what makes me feel like a good dad is, doing what I'm supposed to do. And that includes taking my kids places. That includes helping with homework and helping with, school functions. And that's part of being a parent, to me, anyway. And I wish more dads would get active in that kind of stuff, just so we could kind of get rid of the, not to sound like a social justice warrior, but, get rid of that whole gender norm of, this stuff is for moms to do and this stuff is for dads to do. I hate that. As a divorced dad is one of my pet peeves, even though, I'm happily married and the kids have a stepmom. They have a mom at my house also. So it's not like I'm not trying to play like a single dad card or anything. I know it's nothing like that, but that's how people condescend to me sometimes in public, and it drives me nuts. That's the point I was originally trying to make before I got sidetracked. But be active in your kid's life, mom or dad, everybody. Take time for them. It's so important. And here I am lecturing again. This is like the 5th fucking time in this episode I've decided to go on a tangent and lecture. And I'm not a perfect dad, so take this whole episode with a grain of salt, because like, who am I? Who am I giving this advice, and who am I making these notes and making this social commentary? And I'm nobody, but I'm a normal dad. I'm a normal, just an average dad. I think anyway. And that's why I don't like getting treated like I'm special just for being places with my kids. And I know most people, I don't know how if there's any dads out there, single dads, divorced dads, or anything like that, how do you feel when people say stuff like that to you? How does it make you feel? Does it make you feel angry, or do you enjoy it? Do you like that feeling? Do you like the attention? I guess some people might enjoy that. I personally find it condescending, and I don't know. That's enough about that. I don't need to keep going on with that. But the next topic, I'm going to start lecturing again. I think there's two things I want to talk about left on my list. One of them is, I guess I'm going to open up a little bit, which, I mean, I don't want to get too personal about this because on one hand, I feel like it's not my place to be oversharing about this stuff. But Mark is struggling in school a little bit, specifically with his reading. You know, his teacher says his math scores are great. He does great in math. He does good in social studies. But what sucks is his reading skill is below where it should be in his class. In fact, they chart this stuff. You know, they have these tests where they make the kids read, and then they give them like a grade level. You know, like A through. I don't know I don't know if it's an A through Z scale. All I know is around his grade at the beginning of second grade, I think he's supposed to be like I want to say like a G or an H or something like that. And he at the end of first grade, he was where he was supposed to be, but I guess he lapsed over the summer. Partially my fault. I will fully admit I didn't make him read as much as I should have over the summer. I let him get lazy and play video games, and I'll take responsibility for that. But his reading fell behind, and what's bad about that? Reading is arguably the most important skill that a kid in first and second grade can have, because it affects everything else they do in school. You know, it's at this age, at his age, where the teacher doesn't read them the tests anymore. They've had all their tests read to them up to this point, but now they have to start reading the questions on their own, and they have to not just read, not just know how to say the words, they have to comprehend what they're reading, because that is the test. You know, they have to comprehend the questions and then answer them. So if your child is struggling with their reading, you start seeing their other grades slip too, because they can't read their own questions, and you know, so I guess I don't want to lecture. I just would like to advise if somebody has a child in kindergarten, first grade, second grade, it's not just. This is not just me blowing steam and saying, "Oh, you parents don't work hard." No, it's not that. I'm just driving the point home how important reading is, because you know, you might not think about it that way. You might think of it as just another skill that they learn in school, just like math is another skill, but reading at this age literally affects everything else they do in school. So if you're going to do anything with your kids to help them improve their schoolwork, if you're going to do anything with them over the summer to kind of keep them fresh for school, read a book with them every day for 15, 20 minutes. They said, I was reading a study that they said 20 minutes a day is like, that's the tipping point. I can't remember what the outcome of the test was, but like they broke it down into how many minutes, you know, how many minutes a day affects their test scores for the rest of their lives, basically. And like how many words that'll be by the time they get through sixth grade. I don't remember. Now that I'm quoting the study, I don't even remember how the study went. But basically, what it was saying was that 0 minutes, and they're just gonna struggle the rest of their life. 10 minutes, and they're gonna do, you know, they're gonna get by. You know, they're gonna do fine. They're gonna be average. But you get to that 20-minute point of just reading with them. Even you reading books to them is a huge help, because they can watch the words as you're reading, and they can learn the sounds just from hearing you say them. It is important that they read to themselves also, or that they read to you so they can actually develop that reading skill. But you reading to them also is a huge help. So 20 minutes a day is what you need to spend with your kids reading. Whether it's Hop on Pop or One Fish, Two Fish, or all I can think of is Dr. Seuss titles. You know, Where the Wild Things Are, One of my favorites. I cry every time I read Where the Wild Things Are. Just it's so important. I can't drive that point home enough. How important it is to read with your kids every single day. And if you miss a day, read twice as long the next day. If you have to take it in shifts, do 5 minutes here, let them take a break and do something, do another 5 minutes. As long as you get that 20 minutes in a day, it's critical. It really is. I can't stress that enough. Parents, aunts, uncles, grandparents. If you're babysitting, read a book with the kids. Read them something you like. Read them Harry Potter. If even, I started reading Harry Potter with my kids a couple weeks ago. The girls are way too young for Harry Potter. They have no idea what's going on. But it's getting the idea in their head of sitting on the couch and reading a book instead of just instantly going for the TV remote. Get it in their head how fun reading is and how great reading is. It's not a chore. It's something good. It's way too easy to play PlayStation. And that's something that I started thinking about the other day. Well, since we're on the topic of reading, this episode's going to go long. I thought this was going to be a short one because I'm by myself, but this is going to go long now because I am about to go off on a tangent here. I started thinking the other day about my childhood because I mean, I didn't finish high school this way, so don't get me. I'm not trying to brag or anything about like, oh, I'm way smarter than everybody else, blah 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 blah. But I was in the special classes like as a kid, and I don't mean special like I was behind. I mean special as in I was in advanced classes as a kid. I was an advanced reader. I was advanced in math, and I was a straight A student until about 7th or 8th grade. And yes, I was a nerd. But so I was thinking about my childhood and how easy it was for me to learn to read and how quick I caught on to it. And, I was like two reading grades above most of my class. And again, this has no bearing on me today because I got lazy in middle school and high school and then my class just shot way past me. So, but as a kid, I was very good at that stuff. And I started thinking about it and thinking about all the times I could think of as a kid sitting and reading a book instead of playing video games or something at home. And I don't think I did. I don't remember a lot of times sitting and reading books. Maybe for homework, I would read my books for homework, but and like Book It and stuff. There's a Book It program where if you read so many books, you get a free personal pan at Pizza Hut. And I always got the Book It coupons because I always read enough books. But like I don't feel like I would go out of my way to read as a kid. If it was a chore to me, reading a book was a chore to me. But I also started thinking like when I was a kid, I did play a lot of video games. A lot of video games. That was like mostly what I did. But back then, the video games didn't talk, all the text, all the talking was text on the screen. So I like had to read that. And again, this is a theory. Please don't take this too seriously. This is a theory, but I think the video games at that point were helpful for me to learn to read because like I can specifically remember a time when I was a kid. I was playing Breath of Fire on Super Nintendo with my friend Josh, and we got to this point in the game where we picked up an item and we were like, what the hell is this thing, and we didn't know what it was because it was a word we'd never heard of before. And then we read the item description and there's like 2 words in the item description that we had never heard before, and we went and got a dictionary and we brought the dictionary and sat down at the TV with the game with the dictionary, learning how to read the word and learning what the words meant so we could put the sentence together and figure out what we were reading on the screen to help us in the game. And that's just one example. But I feel like that was beneficial for me learning to read. Now, if you fast forward to the video games nowadays, and it's fucking Fortnite, that's every kid, that's all they're doing is Fortnite, where they're shooting people and building forts, and it's cool. Their hand-eye coordination is great because it has to be. Like Mark can blow me out of the water in shooting games now. I can't keep up with him. But the games talk. There's no words on the screen anymore, and if there are words on the screen, they're completely inconsequential to the game. Like, they have no bearing on the game itself. So you don't have to read the words on the screen. Anything that you need to know about the game, they're going to say it out loud. And that's, there's a red flashing beacon that they run to. It doesn't say on the screen, run northwest to blah, blah, blah. There's a flashing beacon, and they just follow it. So, to me, that's the difference between why I excelled at reading and why Mark is falling behind. Because I don't think he plays any more video games than I do, and I don't think he reads any less than I did when I was a kid. But I feel like maybe that was the difference, that they're not exposed to having to read nearly as much. Like, I keep wanting to get Mark introduced to, like, the Pokemon games on Game Boy, because he would love them. He would love them. That is, like, right up his alley. And he already loves Pokemon. He loves the show and everything, but there's too much reading in the game. And I don't know if, at this point, I don't know if he can handle it. And I keep waiting to get him on it, because otherwise he's going to just keep asking me, like, hey, Dad, what's this? Hey, Dad, what's this? But maybe that's exactly what I need to do, Because maybe that'll encourage him to read the words on the screen. And he'll want to learn to read those words because he wants to play the game. He doesn't want to sit and read a book right now. So that's the struggle we have. I took the PlayStation away from him because I tried to get him to read a book a couple weeks ago. And he'd been playing PlayStation. I think I said this already on the podcast, but he'd been playing PlayStation at that point for like 2 hours. And I told him, hey, man, take a break. Go read a book. After you read the book, you can get back on and play more. And I caught him in his room just, the book was on the floor while he was sitting in the bed. And I was like, hey, did you finish the book? No. Well, why is it on the floor? So, and I had to fight with him about it, and he never did end up reading that book that day. So he's been off the PlayStation pretty much since. But, maybe that's exactly what I need to do, is get him on a game that he has to read. Get him on a Legend of Zelda. That's what I spent the majority of my childhood playing, was Legend of Zelda, the original. And everything was text on the screen. I had to read it all to learn how to play the game. And I don't know. Maybe I'll try that as an experiment, and I'll keep you updated on if it works at all. See if it encourages him to, pick up the books a little more and figure out what those words are on the screen. Because a game like Pokemon, I mean, if you already know how to play it, I suppose you could figure it out without reading anything on the screen. But not knowing how to play the game at all, never having picked it up, I don't know if you can advance through it without reading what's on the screen. So I'm going to try that. Good idea, Chris. All right, what do you think? Give me an idea what you think about this. Is this a good experiment? Should I keep going with it or no? All right, the last thing I would like to recommend that we just started doing a couple weeks ago is we've already figured out money is going to be tight for Christmas, because money's tight already. It's not going to be any better through the Christmas season. So what I've done in the past, a lot actually, if I know I'm going to be broke for Christmas, I will go to my local Pizza Hut and get a job as a delivery driver, because if anybody's looking for extra cash, man, delivery driving, I know it's a little demeaning sometimes to be a grown man or woman delivering pizza to, 20-somethings, or even worse, like when you get to a high school party and you're like a 32-year-old delivering pizza to like high schoolers that are just chilling, and it's embarrassing. Or even worse, when you're 30-something and you deliver a pizza to somebody that you graduated with. It's demeaning a little bit. It's embarrassing. But you know what? It's such easy, quick cash. You get to take cash home with you every night, and you're just driving around, man. If you got a aux cord or Bluetooth in your car, just put on Spotify and just cruise for a couple hours. It's so nice and relaxing, especially if you know the roads in your town and you can get around real easy. It's quick Christmas money. It really is. It's not. So I've worked at Pizza Hut a total of, I think 8 times. Actually, that's where me and Ashley met, was at Pizza Hut. One of the times that I was delivery driving, she was a cook there. But it's Pizza Hut is like getting less and less worth it to me, just because they started chipping away at like how much the drivers make by. I guess I don't really need to get into the economics of it, but I can tell you the first time I took a job as a delivery driver, the money was a lot better than it is nowadays. But again, as long as you're good at it and you just get the pizzas to the house on time, get them there quick, and you don't screw around. A lot of people like to screw around and like not come right back into the store, which that's just taking money out of your own pocket, because it's like the more deliveries you take, the more money you make. That's the way you got to look at it. And I don't know why I'm going off on a tangent about delivery driving. I like doing it, though. I like doing it. It's fun. I like driving. I like listening to music. And you get a discount on pizza. You know, sometimes you get free food. I don't know. It's quick holiday money. So I'm gonna leave you with that. Quick holiday cash. Try to deliver a couple nights a week or something. Especially if you can swing weekends, Fridays and Saturdays, good money. But I know with kids sometimes that's hard to do. But honestly, God, you'd be surprised at how much of a difference like 2 nights a week delivery driving for 3-4 hours makes. It's cash in hand, you know? And during the holidays, they need extra drivers, and people are a lot more generous with their tips during the holidays. So it's like win-win, you know? You need Christmas cash. There's a way to get it. But yeah, my point was Christmas money. Since we knew we were going to be broke this holiday season, we've just decided, like, starting like about a month ago, every time we get paid, which we get paid every other week, we will, you know, right away off the top of our checks, just like buy something, you know, buy something on Amazon or on Target.com or something, you know, or go to the store and get a little something, just so we can start stashing presents now, because you don't want to rely on Santa for everything, you know, just in case your kids are listening. You don't want to rely on Santa for everything, so you gotta pick some stuff up every once in a while. So start early, you know. Don't get sucked into Black Friday sales, because it's really not that good of a deal. And don't get me wrong, I enjoy Black Friday shopping. I haven't been in a couple of years, but I really do enjoy it. But those sales really aren't what you think they are. After Black Friday's over, you give it a month or two, and that's going to be the normal price on all that stuff. I remember waiting in line overnight for a TV. I got this TV for like a couple $100 or something, and then January 1st, the regular price was cheaper than what I paid for it on Black Friday after camping out overnight. So that's something to keep in mind if you're looking for deals. Buy it after the holidays; it's a lot cheaper. But that doesn't help you if you need Christmas shopping. Christmas shopping, start buying stuff now. Now's the time. Actually, it was time about a month ago. I should have said this a month ago. But delivery driving, quick cash, read to your kids. Be active at school events if you can. It's great. It really is. I had a good time at the party. What else did I talk about? Football, pumpkin patches are expensive. Buy your pumpkins at the grocery store. I don't know. I lectured a lot. I'm sorry for lecturing a lot. I hope I didn't piss anybody off with this. These are just my opinions, man. If you don't agree with me, you don't have to. It's not what this is about. This is just me telling you what I think, and if you agree, cool. If you don't agree, cool. Keep listening anyway. Maybe we'll agree about something else. But all right, I'm gonna let you go. It's been an hour. Over an hour. Tune in a couple weeks. Kids for Sale will be back with episode 13. Hopefully my guest will be available by then, if her kids aren't still sick. And you can find us at Kids for Sale Pod on Facebook. I'm not gonna bother plugging Twitter or Instagram anymore. When I start using those accounts again, I'll start plugging them again. But as usual, go to journeyintocomics.com. That is the network that we're on, obviously. That's probably how you found us. Journey into Comics is the network that Nate started, and he's got shows for everybody. He's got content coming out like every day of the week. So he's got a good thing going, and you should support all the shows on the network. And like I said, literally something for everybody. There's a movie podcast, Foodies Watching Movies, which is for food lovers and movie lovers. It's fun. It's a fun show. There's Poor News and Poor Entertainment for catching up on your news for the week and entertainment articles. Exactly what they sound like, news and entertainment. And also, Andrew's also got another show called Adulting Ain't Easy, which, similar to Kids for Sale, is about, the real life struggles of being an adult, except for in their situation, they're just, they're not talking about kids specifically. They're talking about just adulting in general. They're getting married and buying a house and stuff like that were the first few episodes. And I've enjoyed the show a lot so far because it's very, very relatable. So make sure you check it out. There's the Journey into Comics podcast, the cornerstone of the network. It's all about everything comics and everything, just fandom related, which who there's something for everybody within that show itself. They've started a Doctor Who podcast on the network, which Doctor Who is one of those shows that, damn it, I've always wanted to get into it, and I just I haven't yet. It's not that I dislike anything that I've seen of it. I just haven't had the time to sit and get into Doctor Who. And I know I would love it because all the people that I know that like the same kind of stuff as me, they all love it. So maybe I'll start by... I haven't listened to the Doctor Who podcast. It's Gallifradio, I think. I don't know how to pronounce that. I'm sorry, Nate, if I'm mangling that. Gallifradio, I think. I haven't listened to it yet because I don't know anything about Doctor Who, and I feel like I would be diving into something I don't know. But you know what? Maybe that's the exact way I need to get into the show, is to start with the podcast and watch what they talk about, and maybe that would help me kick myself into it. So I'm going to try that. By the next time we talk, I will have gone through all of the existing episodes of Gallifradio, and hopefully I'll be into the Doctor Who world. But, there's Journey into Wrestling. There's Brews with Dudes for beer lovers, There's Podcastrophe, which is still kind of part of the network, although I think they're kind of branching out onto their own thing now. But that's a great show, too. It's just dudes talking, man. And they're funny guys. So if you like to listen to a couple guys just bullshit about God knows what, check it out. It's entertaining. And then Nate also puts out a best of the week to highlight, the best parts of the episodes that he put out during the week. So literally every day of the week there's content. So journeyintocomics.com. Get onto the Patreon, and you can subscribe to their Patreon for exclusive content and, early releases of episodes of different podcasts, and just support the network in general. Podcasting is not free, and we all have to buy equipment and stuff, and Nate Nate hosts all these podcasts, and he puts a lot of work into it. So the least you can do is contribute $1 or $2 a month to the Patreon, and help offset some of the work that he does with a couple bucks. It's the least you can do. We're providing you with hours of entertainment, obviously. So, and I know this has been a full hour of nonstop entertainment. You got to hear me cry today. How do you feel about that? Hearing me cry? I don't know how I feel about it, but I'm gonna let it go anyway because it was a real moment, and I'm glad we shared it. And with that, I will talk to you on the next episode of Kids for Sale. JourneyIntoComics.com. Go there.